What if I told you that your success in life might actually be hiding an invisible pattern that's affecting your love life? As a psychotherapist specializing in attachment trauma, I've discovered why highly successful women often struggle with emotional regulation in relationships. Today, I'm sharing the framework that's helping my clients transform reactive patterns into deep, secure connections. If you want to have a good relationship with somebody or good relationships in general, whether it's romantic or any kind, you need to learn how to regulate your emotions. And that's one of the things that we haven't learned. Nobody really teaches us how to regulate our emotions. So I'll tell you one thing. Romantic relationships are the most triggering in terms of old trauma. That trauma stays in our body, keeping us in so-called survival mode. And if you're in survival mode, you cannot create deep, healthy relationships and connections. You can't be present, first of all, for yourself and then for the other person or with the other person. As I said, it's essential to know how to regulate your emotions. A lot of you think you don't have problems regulating your emotions because you present yourself really well. You keep going with regular life really well, but it's important to know that there are parts of you that are not okay. We usually shut down those wounded parts so we can keep going. Here's where it gets interesting. There are three ways in which we react to our emotional triggers stemming from trauma in romantic relationships. Some of us react in fight or extreme anger, others react in flight responses, running away, and yet other people kind of freeze, which means that they feel paralyzed to do anything. All these reactions stem from anxiousness, like fear of being hurt, fear of abandonment, fear of losing yourself. And when our nervous system becomes exhausted from these high anxiety states, we wind up feeling helpless without energy to do anything. We call it a fawn responses. In relationships, it looks like giving up on expectations that anything good can happen. It's when you feel stuck in a situation in which you are unhappy, but you simply feel you can't do anything about it. Technically, this is the fourth way in which we react to old emotional trauma triggered by current relationship triggers. You may have the most preferred way of sabotaging your love life, but you may utilize the mixture of all these reactions. Hey, we are resourceful survivalists. Pay close attention to the next part. Let's talk about the one that may cause us a lot of trouble right away. Some of us are very reactive. Let me correct myself. We all are reactive, but there is a label that's meant for people like us, emotionally reactive. We kind of shoot from the hip. In other words, we go into a fight mode when triggered. So that's obviously a trauma response because you immediately snap. You're immediately in this survival mode, even if the trigger isn't so drastic. For instance, the guy you're dating wants to take it slow, and this causes you to feel horrible right away. You may react in anger, call him names, tell him to get lost, and so on. We have no idea why he said that. Maybe he's really into you, so he wants to make sure he doesn't screw it up. But for you, this was devastating. Perhaps there was a time when you were hurt, abandoned, neglected, and now any cues that are similar to that old situation trigger you to protect yourself. It feels like a matter of survival. However, it will be hard to create a secure, healthy relationship if you continue shooting from the hip or you react with uncontrolled anger in any situation. You will turn off many people because it will feel overwhelming to them. Underlying wound here is that your needs were unmet and you felt you couldn't rely on anyone. You secretly hope that there will be someone who can see and love you for who you are, but people don't measure up to your ideal. It's not that it's impossible, but you need to let them know who you are and what you need. In other words, you need to be in touch with those wounded parts and understand their needs. In this case, these are your needs. So for the people who are reactive, it's essential to learn how to take your time and process your feelings first before you react and communicate your needs and boundaries. This is something I teach people in the Secure Love Creator program. How to process your emotions. So this is one of the essential parts of regulating your emotions. A part of this is getting to know yourself and healing the shame that prevents us from being ourselves and owning our needs, standing up for what we want and deserve. Once you process your feelings, you can decide what and how you communicate with this person. It will all depend on the stage of courting and closeness. For instance, if you are close to someone, this would be like, hey, that makes me sad, that makes me angry. At the beginning, you were saying how you can see your life with me, and now you want to slow down. It doesn't allow me to feel secure to continue investing my feelings. Once you show him that it's not okay with you to play push and pull, he can make a choice of what he wants to do. Will he step up? I talk more about this specific situation in my previous video. I explain how you can navigate this situation to foster emotional security for yourself, regardless of where this relationship goes. Notice how you elegantly dance with him, showing him yourself instead of pushing him right away. You basically give him a choice to step it up without pushing him. The more he sees, the more he loves what he sees. His joy is to make you happy, but you need to give him a chance and share what you need. There is an art to this. In my program, I help women put into words their complicated feelings. This has the most amazing effects on their partners. They start feeling more connected and invested. When you are shooting from the hip, the only thing that he sees is anger. This will definitely alienate him. It will scare him and cause him to feel overwhelmed and incompetent in terms of making you happy. He will give up. So you can communicate in various ways. You can communicate by setting boundaries, by expressing your feelings. All of these are good ways to communicate, connect, and create deep emotional connections with your partner. What you're doing is allowing him to get to know you and make a decision if he wants to be a part of your life with you just the way you are, not some fake version. Another way we sabotage our relationships is by pretending that everything is okay. You may just go along with everything out of fear that you will lose this relationship. It means you don't communicate your needs and boundaries. A lot of women feel they need to be easygoing. If you're fuming inside, you're not easygoing because your resentment will definitely pop up when least expected. Neurologically, this is the most similar to freeze response. There is a high dose of anxiousness and practically feeling paralyzed to do anything. You may feel like you're losing yourself in a relationship, although you never thought this could happen to you. Of course, you will feel resentful. The underlying wound is that there was no safe space to express feelings growing up. There was no concern for you. Perhaps the little girl felt that mom and daddy were too tired to deal with her. The limiting belief here is that you are not worthy of being seen, loved, or having your needs met. And in this situation as well, you also need to learn how to process your emotions so you can express your emotions. The third way we sabotage is simply by leaving. Neurologically, it's similar to shooting from the hip. In this case, we simply don't want to be in touch with that anger and instead we just flee. This is also based on high anxiety and fear. You may lose the opportunity to connect with yourself and allow your partner to see you and love you the way you want to be loved. In this case, you may not even be in touch with what exactly you need. You may have some elements of avoidant attachment. The underlying belief is basically that it's unsafe to open up and share who you are because you can get hurt. And finally, when we perpetuate these sabotaging patterns, we wind up in a fond neurological response. This is when we feel completely helpless or stuck. We are not happy, but we don't have energy to do anything about it. You may wind up in a perpetual situationship or relationship that goes nowhere, waiting for it to dissolve naturally. This is so draining and exhausting, and it all stems from not being in touch with ourselves, knowing our needs, boundaries, paired with limited beliefs that our needs are somehow too much. In order to create a secure relationship, meet and keep the one, an amazing man that will excite and love you the way you need him, you need to know how to be in touch with your feelings, talk to men, express your boundaries and needs. Basically, that's how you create a connection with a man. You allow them to see you for who you are. But again, for that, you need to know it yourself. You need to get in touch with who you are. And a lot of high achieving women never get that chance because we are raised to always be figuring out how we need to be in this world to fit in, to make others happy, to be good enough. So when you're constantly on that quest of trying to be good enough, then you don't get a chance to learn what bothers you, what makes you happy, what turns you on. So the good news is the more you process your feelings, the better it becomes. You become better at expressing your emotions, feelings, boundaries. Here's the game-changing insight. The key thing you need to understand here is that you are the one who needs to stand up for yourself. You need to start honoring yourself and start speaking up, getting to know yourself, expressing your needs, desires, and boundaries. Let's take responsibility. How is somebody that you just met 3 months or even 3 years ago supposed to know what your deep needs are? It's very difficult unless you sit with yourself and understand yourself, and that's a discovery. Relationships actually provide us with such a space to have that self-discovery, and it allows us to build that connection with our partner, to constantly be in tune with ourselves as well as be there for our partner. It's about figuring out who you are and expressing that, sharing that with your partner, and allowing him to make that choice to be that person that can see and love you, to be there for you. Instead of you orchestrating everything and managing the relationship, compensating for his shortcomings, you give him that space to grow and make his choices to be a better man for both you and himself, as well as the future generations. And that's very freeing. In other words, men love when you share your standards. They love to grow to be your man, to be there for you, to make you happy. So I hope that this helps. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're ready to transform your emotional patterns and create secure, lasting love, I have something special for you. I'm opening limited spots in my Secure Love Creator program, where I personally guide you through processing emotional triggers effectively, communicating needs without pushing men away, creating deep emotional connections that last. But first, let's make sure we are a perfect fit. Book your private consultation, identify your specific emotional patterns, create a customized healing roadmap. See if Secure Love Creator is right for you. Don't let old wounds keep you from the love you deserve. Click the link below to schedule your call now. Hit subscribe for more relationship psychology insights. Like this video if you learned something new. Share with a friend who is ready for transformation. If you want a more detailed script on what to say if he wants to take it slow, watch this video here.